We got something big planned for you.
Don't have so much attention. Scream out, I'm in the building. They're watching. I know this. I'm rocking. I'm rolling. I'm holding. I know it. You know it. I know how to make them stop and stare as I zone out. The club can't even handle me right now. Watching you, watching me, I go all out. The club can't even
All right.
handle me right
If you had an incredible morning, let me hear you scream.
The club can't even handle me right now.
Hey, y'all. We got someone big coming to stage, but only if you show some love. If you're ready to rock this afternoon, let me hear you scream.
Tip the group is taking off their clothes. Grand finale like Super Bowl. Go hard, I run the show. That's right, while I've got money to blow. More lights, more ice when I walk in the door. Know how to do it big all over the globe. Yeah, I said it. Don't tell it. Come bet it. Who ready? I'm ready. You ready? Let's get it. I know how to make them stop and stare as I zone out. The club ain't even handle me right.
How you feeling out there, Growth Day LA? Wait a second. Let's try that again. I said, how you feeling, Growth Day LA? All right. Let's put your hands together. Let's get to your feet. And let's welcome back to the stage, Brendan Burchard. Let's go, Growth Day!
Who met somebody awesome? Then turn to the person left, right, shake them, thank them for being here. For those who don't know what you're about to experience in your life, it is a rare gift to learn from one of the world's number one at anything, let alone in mindset and performance, who will be in this room with us here shortly. So if you thought and you thanked each other for being here, do me a favor. We're going to play a video just so those of you who don't know who your next coach and mentor is. Ed Mylett is in this house. For the introduction, when he comes out to the stage, would you give him the greatest Growth Day welcome of all time? He flew from across the country to be here just for you for this time, and then he flies back across the country just to be here for you. So would you rip it when he comes up on stage? And welcome up. All right, with no further ado, Ed Mylett.
Mylett is an entrepreneur, inspirational speaker, best-selling author.
In his new book, The Power of One More, he's sharing the keys to success.
Help me in welcoming the man who, as a broke kid, pointed at a beautiful cliff overlooking the sea and said, "One day I'm going to live there." And now he does.
He is well known for combining spirituality and tactical thoughts and actions. Please welcome to the stage, Ed Mylett.
Ed Mylett.
Ed Mylett.
Ed Mylett. Ed Mylett.
Wow. Wow. All right. Yeah. All right. Woo. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good to see you all. All right. Settle down. Let's go. All right. Thank you. Thank you. You guys need to get excited. I don't know what's wrong with you guys. Let me see all the beautiful people. It's bright up here. Let me see you guys. Wow, that's packed. How you doing? Raise your hand if you're a beautiful person. Let me just see. Whoa. Not that you're bragging or anything. So it's so good to be with you. Thank you for that. Just so you know, that doesn't get old. I remember what it's like to walk out in a room and no one gave a crap I was there. I'm still blown away you do, to be honest with you, and I'm grateful that you're going to listen to me today. It's windy here. You can't even put your notes down. Let me put it like that. Let's take a bunch of stuff out of my pockets. I'm feeling weighed down here. So, we're going to talk about human behavior change. That's the topic of the day. I know a lot of you are used to me getting all riled up and motivational and all that stuff, but I hope you changing your life motivates you more than anything. Does it? Yes? So we're going to I'm going to give you some conceptual stuff today, and then as you know, I like to get real nitty gritty and give you like scientific stuff too. I'm weird. But before I do that, I want to tell you that I don't think humans can change. I actually know they can. And by the way, before I say one thing, anything else too, is like, if you have an opportunity to get into Ultra with Brendan at the end of the day today, you should do that. That's the ultimate place to make human behavioral change, is in Ultra. And so I just want to say that up front. But I don't think people can. I know they can. And let me tell you why. I think there's a lot of lessons in life. As most of you know, and I'm going to do this a lot today because I actually want to see your faces and feel your spirit. Because it's so bright every time I speak. Hey, you guys. I know they can because I watched my father do it. So as most of you know, my dad was an alcoholic and a drug addict. Do most of you know that? Everybody in here? Okay. And at one point, he began to live without alcohol. So if you ask my dad, even when he was 70 years old, he'd say, I'm still an alcoholic. I just don't drink. And so my dad made a significant change in his life. And so I think it's worth unpacking, like first, to start structurally, like how did my dad change? Would you like to know how that happened? Because when I say my dad could drink, I mean my dad could drink. I don't know if any of you were raised by, I don't even know what I would call it a man's man anymore, because I don't think a man needs to be aggressive or violent to prove that he's a man. In fact, most of the time, that's the antithesis of a man. But my dad was raised in a time where like dudes were dudes. Any of you know what I'm talking about? So my dad was like a dude. And so I've watched my dad like in more than 50 different fights. True story. Remember one time I was a little boy, got in one that he probably shouldn't have got in. We lived in Boston, and quick story, it was snowing out. My dad had a really cool car for snow. It was a Datsun B210 hatchback. So like the size of the four of you in the row was about the size of my dad's car. And I think the thing was about 30 horsepower, pretty sure about 30. And so we're driving it in the snow, and some guy my dad thought cut him off. And I'd already watched my dad throw down a bunch of times, and to be honest with you, he usually won. Probably because he was coked up or something, and the other guy wasn't. I don't know how, but he usually won. And this time, I remember my daddy got out of the car, and the other dude got out of the car. He was driving an orange VW Bug. Remember those? And this dude, I don't know how he fit in this car. Because this dude gets out of the car, and he was redheaded in an orange Bug. I'll never forget it. Like, hair matched the car. You know what I mean? I'm like, the carpet matched the drapes, matched the car. I'm sure on this dude, right? And gets out of this car, and he crawls out, and this dude was a moose. Like 6'5", 270. And my dad and him threw down in the snow. And lucky for my dad, there was ice. Because if this was a fair fight, I'm pretty sure my dad's gonna get dropped. But because there was ice, this dude slipped in the ice, and I watched my dad literally, I know this isn't pretty, beat up this guy, right? And the next day, he tells me, don't tell your mother. And he tells my sister, Michelle, don't tell your mother. And I was afraid of my dad. I'm like, I'm not telling mom anything. My sister's like, I'm telling mom. I'm like, do not tell mom. So the next day, my sister must have said something to my mom, because check this out. The next day, my mom is at breakfast, and she's always up earlier than my dad because he was hungover, and she's reading the newspaper. And I come down with my dad, and she pulls the newspaper down and looks at my dad, and she goes, "You're not going to believe what happened to a New England Patriot offensive lineman yesterday. Some thug broke his nose and almost beat him to death on the side of the road." Now, who would do something like that? She pulls the newspaper back up again. It was my dad. This dude played for the Patriots. So I watched my dad headbutt a dude in the donut line at St. Dennis Catholic Church. And we went back the next Sunday, and it was like, "Hey, peace be with you. Hail Mary, full of grace." Like literally nothing happened. Okay? And then my dad made one change, which was to quit drinking alcohol and to quit using drugs. And the stacking effect, the ripple effect of this man and his life that began to happen over the next 35 years of his life is literally one of the most remarkable things I've ever seen in my entire life. And what happened was he became this incredibly spiritual, kind, gentle, generous. I've watched my dad. I mean, if you had a sign on a freeway somewhere ever, we're stopping. At least it literally would like get to the point where I'm like, "Dad, I got to get to we're going to help this person, Eddie." So my dad completely changed. I mean, totally changed. Why do I tell you this story? I tell you this story because I believe there's an inflection point in most people's lives that if they change that one thing, that the ripple effect, it starts to accelerate and all kinds of other things begin to change. Does that make sense to everybody? Say yes. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to write only, everybody that's ever seen me speak that knows when I write, I'm not Brendan, I can't actually write. Okay? So this is solely for my benefit to stay organized. This is hieroglyphics. You will not know what I'm writing up here. Okay? But I want to ask you a question to begin with. You want to make this like one of the most productive hours of your life, yes or no? Okay. If you were being honest, you don't have to tell anybody. What's the one change you know you need to make that if you made that one change about you, you know that there would be a ripple effect that would stack and completely alter the direction of your life? In my dad's case, it was one decision at one time to change his life for drinking alcohol. And once he did that, something next happened, okay? So what would that one thing be? Just give yourself the gift of that. Like for me, I could tell you that if you asked me many years ago if I could wish for myself something when I was, say, like a 22 or 23-year-old young man, that one change would be that I had self-esteem or self-confidence or self-worth. I didn't ever get that because of the way I was raised. And so I faked it with lifting weights. I faked it with making money. It manifested itself in being kind of an angry person, being short with people, quitting things easily. You see what I'm saying? That one thing caused so many other deficiencies in my life. But once I learned the tools and tactics of truly building self-confidence, which starting out with is keeping the promises that you make to yourself, right? I know that I talk about that a lot, but it's something I'm really, really big on. Like, I'll give you an example. Well, I won't give you that example. Well, this week I've had a little bit of a couple challenges. And so I had promised Brendan that I would be here. And then earlier in the week, he literally said to me, he goes, "Hey man, you could Zoom it. You could Zoom it." And for a second I went, yeah, I could Zoom it in. But that's not what I committed to do. And I didn't promise Brendan, I promised me. So if you continue to make these promises that you make to yourself, right, that's the start. But that one decision, that's okay, that one thing changed everything for my dad. That one decision. And then what happened is, so stay with me, you have your one thing, and I'm telling you, you don't know, there's not 11 things you need to change. There's a catalyst change. There's a catalyst. And if you can find the catalyst, and again, only I can read this. This is just for me. When you find the catalyst change, the ripple effects are incredible. So I promise you, changing one thing, it could be your faith, it could be your self-confidence, it could be that you're going to stop rising to anger, it could be that you're going to change your lack of knowledge about something, you're going to immerse yourself. I don't know what that thing is. Maybe it's that you need to make more friends. I have no idea. Go deeper in a relationship. Get out of a particular relationship. Stop having negative thoughts about yourself. Gandhi has this great quote that basically says, I will not let you walk through my mind with your dirty feet. And in my case, the person walking through my mind with their dirty feet was me. But so many of you have someone around you who's constantly walking through your mind with their dirty feet. And so ask yourself, what's the catalyst? Isn't Growth Day awesome, right? You don't get, this is like, right. So there's a catalyst change. So that was the catalyst for my dad. And then check this out. Then for my dad, just in my dad's case, all change happens in one decision. And then it's a catalyst change. In my dad's case, he had to have a massive, compelling reason to make the change. And in my dad's case, so you have to ask yourself, what's the reason? We're going to get way deeper than this, but this is the structure. In my dad's case, he had two reasons. In your life, every decision you make is either to avoid pain or gain pleasure. Let me say that to you again. It's either to avoid pain or gain pleasure. Every single decision that you make, okay? Avoid pain or gain pleasure. Once you harness the understanding of that, okay, gain pleasure, you now can pull the levers of change. And by the way, if you really want to make an unbelievable change, oftentimes you can use the combination of the two. So like literally, for example, I brushed my teeth and showered to come here today. Why'd I do that? Well, really, it'd be avoid the pain of, I'm serious, looking terrible in front of you today, right? Or the pleasure of you thinking I look decent, whatever it is, right? But like if you put makeup on today's lady, you didn't just do that because you wanted something. It was either to the pain of they see me with my makeup off, or the pleasure of I bet I look better like this. I feel better about myself. Every single decision that you make, whether you eat a piece of food or not. Once you understand that, that's the basic reasons for change. If you can hit it, if you can leverage pain, that's okay, or leverage pleasure, or the combination of both. In my dad's case, he had both. He was avoiding the pain of losing his family. My mom was leaving. So my dad had drank for years and years and years. Finally, it got painful enough, they call it a bottom, but in my dad's case, it got painful enough that he was gonna lose his wife and children. And it was the pleasure of finally gaining himself back. But the real mechanism my dad made the change out of, the combination of these, was love. My dad told me for years, Eddie, I love you more than I love drinking. And once I finally connected that I loved my family more than this addiction that I had, then I had a compelling reason to change. So what's the compelling reason for you? And then the biggie comes with all change. You do not make change in one decision, even though I say that in the book. The one decision is the catalyst for change, but we're not done yet. So right now, you could make one decision, and when you make that decision, you have created a change. But what happened to my dad, and this is what you need to do. So have you kind of selected the thing or the area yet? Yes or no? No, you didn't. Okay. How many of you think you kind of picked something you'd like to change, right? Okay. And then you've got to come together with it's a catalyst change, and then your reasons. Avoid pain, gain pleasure. I think if you link it to love. Here's what my dad went into. My dad actually entered into, in his case, a 12-step program. But here's what that did. Forget the 12 steps. For a change to be real, you have to condition it. You condition the change repeatedly. So what's that mean? There has to be a practice or a habit that you didn't have before that conditions that change. You got conditioned into the habit. My dad had his first drink, then he had another drink, then he had another drink, and eventually he conditioned himself into being an alcoholic, where he became literally, his neurochemistry, his biology was addicted to this stuff, so was his behavior, so was his brain, and he had all this linkage that caused him to change into an alcoholic. Maybe even had a chemical predisposition at birth, my dad believed. Right? But the point of the matter is, the reason my dad stayed sober the rest of his life is he conditioned the change. I'll give you an example. In AA, you can go to a meeting, right? You guys know AA meetings. My dad averaged 6 AA meetings a week for 40 years. My dad would leave chemo and go to his meeting because he was that was his conditioning. You follow what I'm saying? So my dad had these 12 steps and these things that he did, which I don't even understand all of them, to be honest with you. We never went that deep on it. My point is, my dad said to me, I'm working the program. I'm working my program. If you're going to shape a lot of different times, like decent shape, but like I'm going to get, I've been fit as an adult for like 25 years of my life, more fit than most people my age. And here's what it was. But for me, I tried to get in shape a lot of different times, like decent shape, but like I'm going to get, I've been fit as an adult for like 25 years of my life, more fit than most people my age. And here's what it was. I used to get up and I wanted to be fit. But I used to get up and I'm a guy, I love Sports Center. So I'd get up, get my coffee, kind of lay on the couch, flip Sports Center on. And Christiana, my wife, would go, "These are the exact same highlights you watched before we went to bed last night." Like it's the guy still dunks right here. He still had it's the exact highlights that you watched at 11:30 last night. You're now watching at 6 o'clock this morning. What are we doing here? I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing here. I was conditioned to do it. And so I had to ask myself, what's the one habitual conditioning I could do? And here's what it has to be for me. I have to get up and work out. Like I can't do anything else. I got to get up, say my little prayer, do my little thing, pound water, bam, I'm working out. I don't even brush my teeth, which people at the gym over the years probably didn't appreciate. Right? That's why I built a gym in my house. But I picked a habit to condition the change. And now it's very difficult for me to wake up and I go, boom, let's go. It's automatic. Why? Because under pressure, you should be writing all this down. Under pressure, you revert back. Pressure equals, that says pressure, I have no idea. Pressure equals reflex. When pressure is applied, you operate reflexively. So, for example, in my dad's case, my dad got to the point where my dad would pour the drinks at our house for a party. He was the bartender. He could literally hold the alcohol in his hand, pour it in a drink, go, "Hey, here, have a drink," and not drink it. But can you imagine doing that one day after being sober? No way. Right? So what ended up happening was he had built this habit of this conditioning so that now under pressure and there was alcohol around, he didn't revert back. Why do people go back to drinking? They haven't built the reflexive habits. Why do you go back on your promises? Why do you not create change? Because when change comes and pressure happens, something happens in your life, kids are screaming, setback, client drops out, whatever it might be, under that pressure, you operate reflexively and you go back to your conditioning. That's why change for some people is difficult, because they don't have the formula. But once you make one decision, have a catalyst decision, have a reason to do it, attach it to love, you condition the change and you develop one new habit. Under pressure, you will operate reflexively and be the new you. In fact, here's what's cool. You'll actually want the pressure. You'll actually want the adversity because it's an opportunity to condition it even deeper. Isn't that cool? Am I going too deep here? Is it okay? Okay, so this is a formula to create a change in your life. Isn't that cool? So that's how it's done. So you gotta ask yourself, what's the new habit in the area? Typically it's something that's uncomfortable. For my dad, it was going to a meeting almost every day the rest of his life. And by the way, the meetings are kind of the same. Hi, I'm Bob, I'm an alcoholic. Hi, I'm Sarah, I'm an alcoholic. Then someone gives a speech, then they have a donut, then they do, like that's the deal. I'm like, Dad, don't you gotta get sick of saying out loud you're an alcoholic? Isn't that kind of reinforcing the behavior? He goes, I know what it means, no. And he goes, every time I go there, I'm reminded that I'm here to help other people get sober. One of the key programs in AA is sponsoring someone else. The biggest way you create change is you teach that change and give it as a gift away to someone else. Now you've really reinforced change is when you give it away as a gift or a teaching. I gotta be honest with you, I can't wait to hear the recording of this because this is freaking good, okay? It's even better than I wrote down. I gotta be honest with you. Not to brag, Holy Spirit's doing this. I'm not this smart, I'm a dumbass, so this is good, right? So once you condition the change, if you give it away as a gift or you teach it, now you're in business. And that's why I always say, and I didn't make the saying up, but I've kind of stolen it long term, you're most qualified in life to help the person you used to be. My dad helped thousands of, my dad's funeral was incredible. I mean, I couldn't even get over it. It was a very weird funeral for me because that's kind of a secret life when someone's in an anonymous program. The truth is, I didn't know. It's called anonymous. So I don't know which of my dad's friends are recovering alcoholics or not. And I went to my dad's funeral, and his name's also Ed Mylett. And not to sound weird, but I'm used to someone saying, hey, Ed Mylett changed my life. Ed Mylett, my parents are used to hearing that. My sisters are. And all of a sudden, I go to this funeral, and the first person walks up and says, Ed Mylett changed my life. But it was my dad. And the first guy gets up. My dad's life was interesting, if you don't mind me indulging a little bit, because I just think stories are interesting. My family lived in well, anybody here from Southern Cal? Okay, cool. My family's from Diamond Bar, Pomona, Chino Hills area. I'm IE, I'm 909, okay? And if you live in Southern California, you know I ain't bragging, okay? That ain't a brag. I'm not from Beverly Hills, I'm not from Brentwood, not from Newport Beach. I'm from Pomona. So, best known for crime. So, but my dad's favorite meeting that my dad went to was at, and I'm being serious here, Chino Prison. That was my dad's main meeting. In fact, he hosted those meetings at the prison. So we lived, like a lot of people that have a difficult time making a living, we lived in kind of, not the hood, but like kind of right? And my dad worked in Beverly Hills and in Burbank area, out here, actually. My dad worked not like 10 minutes from here. So it was interesting. My dad would go to meetings after work in Beverly Hills. A lot of famous people, a lot of actors, people you would know. And then the next day, he'd be at Chino Prison or a meeting in Pomona on Mission Avenue. So the collection of people who my dad helped get sober was so stark and unbelievable. And so at my dad's funeral, literally the first man got up, big, huge Samoan man. He walked up, big, strong guy. He goes, Ed Mylett changed my life. And my whole family's in the front row, my dad's grandchildren. And by the way, my dad didn't want a funeral. We didn't do a funeral. He wanted to be cremated, and he wanted us to go to dinner and celebrate. That's what we did as a family. We didn't do a funeral. What happened was there was an uprising of people in the AA community that said, we'd like to do a day to honor Ed Mylett. We did it at a park. Did it at a park. And my dad, the first guy gets up, Ed Mylett changed my life. I was doing 20 years for manslaughter. And this very nice man walked up in a sweater, very kind man, very gentle man. He stuck his hand out to me and said, hi, I'm Ed Mylett. I'd love to help you. And he goes, in that moment, that man changed my life. And that led to early morning text messages and a breakfast and him coming by the prison. And then when I got out, he took me into his home for 3 months. I didn't even know this. And he completely changed my life. And then the next person walked up, and it was a woman, and she said, Ed Mylett changed my life. I was at a meeting in Pomona, and this very nice man with blue eyes walked over, very kind, very quiet, very humble. And she said, hi, I'm Ed. If you ever need any help, I'm here to help you. And I didn't know that, but meeting this man, and that led to him pulling me out of a bar one night when I was going to drink and saving me from my boyfriend who beat me up. And so many late night conversations and encouraging messages. And the next guy walks up, and it's a very, very famous actor that you would know, an A-list actor. And he said, Ed Mylett changed my life. Whoa! No way! And it was this just collection of people. Do you think that when my dad stopped drinking that first time, he could ever imagine that he would then have that legacy of helping people? This catalyst change, you guys, I'm telling you, you can change your life in ways that you cannot even imagine. And when you begin to stack it and it becomes a ripple effect, it'll blow your mind what your life will look like. You have no idea how magnificent and amazing your life will be once you make a change and you begin to give the gift of that learning, that understanding away to other people. My dad's like, you can clap for that. It's awesome, right? So why is that? Now we're going to get detailed. Isn't that awesome? Like, he completely altered people's lives on a deeper level than me, one-on-one. You know that I never knew he did any of those breakfasts? Never knew he did any of that stuff. I didn't know any of it. He never mentioned it once. But he made it. This same man who's in 50 fights and I was afraid of. A completely different human was described at the end of his life. Wouldn't it be cool that even if you're on a right path right now, that it just got accelerated? Can you imagine your life just accelerating to past your dreams, past what you can imagine? You know what nobody tells you about making a change in your life? They'll always sell you on the fact, hey, it's amazing, you'll make your dreams come true. That's not the cool part. The cool part is making dreams come true of people you've never even met before yet. All of a sudden, it's a grandchild of yours that's not even born yet, or a sister of yours who you don't even know you're going to need to help in 8 years, and you can. Or the child of I was just speaking at I speak at some faith-based events now. When I speak, I always have to leave. So before I spoke, they do the meet and greet with the pictures before I speak. So there's always this line of people, and usually you prefer to do that after the speech so they can come in and say, hey, this is what I got from your speech, thank you. It's very odd because everyone's coming in before I speak. So I've done several of these events. I love doing them. They're probably my favorite speaking that I do. And then all of a sudden this young woman, about 24, walks into the booth, very tiny, doesn't make eye contact with me. This was just 3 weeks ago. She walks into the booth and she says, she takes a picture with me as we're standing there. She goes, I was estranged from my dad from 20 years. I go, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And she says, yeah, I think you know my dad. But I won't say his name. I go, what's your dad's name? She says, Michael, blah, blah, blah. I went, oh my, he's your dad? She goes, yeah, he told me, we're kind of talking. He told me that you might remember him. Now, she was there to get her life changed by me. She spent her last dollars. She drove across the country to go. And I said, I got emotional now. I'm like, I know your father very well. Very well. She goes, you do? How do you know him? Now, it doesn't matter what your religion is. I'm not preaching to you. I said, your dad introduced me to Jesus one night. I became a Christian because of your father. We were on a boat, on a yacht, on a reward trip, and I asked him, how come you're so happy? Why do you have such joy? And your dad said, do you really want to know? Let's walk up to the top level and I'll talk to you about it. Now just imagine this. She's at a Christian event, right? A Christian event. To come have me change her life, she drove across country, and it was her father who introduced me to my faith. So you don't know the ripple effects of you helping one human being. I still am having a hard time processing that this happened. I still am. And I'm also having a hard time that they weren't connected. Now, I asked her recently, they've evidently really reconnected since that event. Is that not crazy? So I share that with you because I want you to change, and I want you to see the reasons to change. How do I know you can do it? And why did it work for my dad? Here we go. We're going to start to get into the goodies here, okay? Numero uno. You ever heard the term multitask? Okay, cool. Do you consider yourself a good multitasker? No? You want to know why the answer is no? Because there's literally no such thing. No, they've actually studied the brain. Turns out your brain cannot do two things at once. Did you know that? You should be listening to my podcast. A long time ago, I had her on the show. So, the multitask is a fallacy. Not true. I think that says multi. It's close enough. Whatever. Okay? You can only do one task at a time. Why is that important? Because once you accept that fact, now you're ready to make change. Now we're going to accelerate the talk. You ready? There's something in life called hyperfocus. Hyperfocus is when a human beings become obsessed in one area of their life. One area, they become obsessed with it. They become hyper-focused. In fact, certain people are blessed at being able to do this. I'm talking about like so focused, it's almost to the absence of everything else. Write the term down. Hyper-focused, right? It's like that says hyper-focused, whatever, okay? Okay. It's complete absorption in a task or a change. Here's how my dad stayed sober. My dad got sober, complete absorption. He was in his book, the big book they call it. He'd be spiritual. He'd be praying. He'd be helping other people. He'd be going to meetings. My dad wanted to study the blood and the mind and all. My dad became obsessed with sobriety. Obsessed. And he's one of the all-time goats of being sober, right? Why? He became hyper-focused in this area of his life. People say, I don't want to get hyper-focused because it'll be the detriment of other things. That's not how it works. It's a catalyst change. Once you get great, my dad's sobriety made him better in his career. My dad ended up being, we were broke our whole life. My dad, at the end of his life, was the president of a bank, right? Like, he became very successful because of the sobriety. He was a terrible communicator, a really crappy dad. He became an amazing one. My dad was never a great golfer, but he got a lot better. All kinds of other things led because my dad got hyper-focused. You don't give yourself enough credit. Most human beings overestimate what they can do in a year, and they underestimate what they can do in a decade. So check this out. There's all this data that tells us this. Guess who are the best people in the world at hyper-focusing? Typically autistic people. These precious beings that we see that have these incredible singular abilities. Do you want to know why? One of the reasons the data tells us is their incredible ability to hyper-focus. Actually, they're the best ever at it. They're able to do math equations that it's unreal. They're able to remember dates and times, and certain types of autism creates complete hyper-focus and immersion in a task. So if someone who has autism can do this, you can learn from them. So there's a great stat that says this. When you become hyper-focused at something, in 1 year, you are average in the top 10 percentile in the world in whatever that task is. In 3 years, you are top 5%. This is what human beings don't get about themselves. They don't give themselves the credit to understand if I can get hyper-focused, almost obsessed in an area where you are eliminating the idea of multitasking, and you're going to get great at speaking. You're going to get great at the cello. You're going to get great at being a coach. You're going to get great at your business. You're going to get great at getting fit and lifting in the gym. When you pick it, now there are exceptions, okay? I'm not being funny. There are some exceptions to this. Like, I could probably get hyper-focused at biology, and there's just no way I'm ever getting to the top 80%, right? Like, my mind I can't do it, right? Chemistry in high school, I just can't. But assuming you have some proclivity for something, within 3 years, you're in the top 5% in the world. So let me just ask you this. How many of you want to be coaches? That's a lot of you, right? How many of you? Raise your hand. A lot of the Ultra members do. Well, what do the top 5% of coaches make in the world? We're all 8-figure people. We all make 8 figures. So in 3 years, if you were hyper-focused, if it was literally a hyper-focus and you did all the things I listed on the previous sheet, the percentages tell us you'd be in the top 5% in the world at that. It's not 20 years away. But because you think it's 20 years away, you've created thoughts, patterns, and belief systems that perpetually keep it there. Because you think it's that far away, you've created you've created programming in your mind. I was going to do NLP with you, but I'm not. You've created programming in your mind that perpetually keeps it there. That's why you need the catalyst habit. I wasn't 10 years away from getting fit. I was like a year away. Once I made this change, all of a sudden when I got up earlier, once I was done, I wasn't as hungry after I worked out. And if I did, I wanted protein. And then I wanted to pound a bunch of water. And then the rest of so the catalyst effect is huge. Hyper-focus will alter your dadgum life. Now, by the way, when you get hyper-focused, you tune out other things. Complete absorption in a task. When you do this, there's something in your brain that happens. Is this too deep or is it good? Okay, here we go. You get something in your brain called periodic beta bursts. They're called a beta burst. They're huge quantum leaps in understanding and knowledge that happen in flickers. So you can be at something for like 3 months, 6 months, nothing, bam, beta burst, huge leap. You've all had that happen in something. You've even had it happen in your relationship. We're all right, bam, beta burst on a vacation. You're like, wow, we're a different couple now. So the gift of staying hyper-focused is you're waiting around for the beta burst. And when you get the beta burst, you make this quantum leap in understanding or knowledge. Does that make sense? You get this. So, and then you enter, when you're completely obsessed, you get into what we call flow state. Flow state is essentially a couple things, okay? Flow state is a perceived change or course of action that stretch your ability or orientation, but it won't exceed your skill set. I'll give you a better analogy. Hey guys, can you pull up the coloring book thing? What's the number one conditioning issue? That's a little blurry. Sorry, it's from my phone. Let me give you a better look. Watch. What's the number one conditioning we learn as a child that holds us back? Why, as an adult, are you having a hard time getting to the top? Do you want to know one of the reasons why? You were taught to color within the lines. You have a conditioning since you were a little boy or a little girl to color within the lines. Aren't you? Why children need to learn how to color inside the lines. Which, by the way, I was terrible at as a kid. I'm left-handed. You can tell by my writing. It's just like bad. Okay? All your life, you've been trying to color within the lines. You weren't born to be within the lines of anything. You weren't born to be just like everybody else and be uniform. Our education system conditions you to color within the lines. And then as an adult, every time you start to color with outside the lines a little bit, you get adversity, you get anxiety, you feel uncomfortable. This is probably one of the best things you're gonna hear in your life that no one's ever said to you before until today. Okay? So that every time you start to take steps to color outside the lines your family gave you, the lines of what's proper and organized, the lines of what your educational background, the lines of what your mom or dad might think, or your friends might think, or others might think. The minute you start to color outside the lines, you immediately go, I'm not supposed to do that. You like have an intuitive understanding, I'm not supposed to do this. And you're now overcoming all of this conditioning and programming to try to stay within the lines. And what you're trying to do, the reason you're having a tough time is you're learning all these skills, but somehow you're still trying to stay within the lines. Fuck the lines. Okay? Right? Okay? Happy people don't color within the lines. Everybody you admire colors outside the lines. I don't care where your politics are. You love Obama or you love Trump. I promise you, you don't love both of them. Right? But if you love Obama, that brother did not color within the lines. He had audacity of hope, didn't he? He said, I'm going to change the world. I may not be ready. No one knows who the heck I am. I got this funny name, whatever he used to say about himself. But I'm going to color outside the lines. He literally made history. Forget it. You don't like him. You love Trump. You think that dude's been coloring within the lines ever? Does he have any proclivity? He doesn't even understand there are lines. Right? Martin Luther King, in the lines or outside the lines? Right. Anybody that you love and admire, they're outside the lines, but you've been conditioned to be in them. And that's the challenge. And by the way, if you're a parent, are you conditioning your kids that way? Are you conditioning your kids to color within the lines all the time? Outside the lines. It just makes you a little weird, right? And by the way, if you're a parent, are you conditioning your kids that way? Are you conditioning your kids to color within the lines all the time? Be a good girl, be a good boy. Just listen, listen, conformity is the ultimate form of cowardice. When you conform, you're a coward. You were not born to conform. Yet that's what everybody's constantly trying to get you to do. And you wonder why it's so darn hard to change your life. Because there's all this inertia going in one direction. Color within the lines. Don't conform. Stay where you're supposed to stay. Don't make too big of a shift. You're not really ready for that anyway. It'll be a year from now, 5 years from now, 8 years from now. That's bull crap. My dad got ready, he got sober, that was it. Then he conditioned it, then he had the reasons, then he ran a program, then he got hyper-focused, and here we are talking about it. And then he changed thousands of other people's lives because he taught it. So stop coloring within the lines. I'm fired up right now, this is good, right? Right? Can you guys get me a stool? I'm a little dizzy. Mel, I'm serious, I'm a little dizzy. Can you bring me a stool? I don't want to fall down in front of everybody. A little off. If you guys don't mind. Anybody back there listen to me or y'all asleep? Thank you. Thank you. Just gonna sit. You guys okay with that for a minute? Thank you, brother. Okay. I don't know what's going on, but it isn't good. Yeah, I'm gonna drink some water. I'm breathing, don't worry. Yeah, but something's not good. Okay. I'm gonna tell you a story about change now. Involves my son. I'll tell you about Max. Can we pull that picture up, guys? Oh, yeah, that's better. Can we pull up Max? tell you guys a story about change, because how change can happen in an instant. That's Max. He's my only son. In fact, I miss him so much. I flew him out here tonight. He's not here yet, but I'm gonna see my son tomorrow. I just miss him. So, my son's my favorite man in the world. And yeah, he is. A little dizzy up here. Sorry, you guys. I don't know what's going on. Sorry about that. I'm good. Hey, trust me. Thank you. I could use a heart transplant, quite frankly. That's what I need is a new ticker, but that's a whole other story for another day. Anyway, so my son is my favorite human. You know, male human. That way I protect my wife and my daughter. Anyway, let me tell you about him. He's different than me. Any of you have a kid that's just different than you? I always thought, I'm gonna have this kid, he's just gonna be just like me. I mean, intense, run through a wall, super coordinated, you know. And the Lord's like, I'm gonna give you Max. And Max is kind. He's a sweet boy. He is gentle and generous, and he was born literally loving God. It was just, I think he got it from my wife's father. My father-in-law was a lay minister, and he had a son who became a minister. I think Max just got it from him. Sure didn't get it from me. He doesn't even really look like me either. There probably should be some DNA testing, but I don't want to know. and unbelievably uncoordinated. I mean, beyond belief. And it was hard because when he was little, I was a good athlete. I played college Division I baseball and was a good athlete. Had a chance to go a little further than that. And so when my son would play sports, well, I'll just be honest with you. To this day, I don't know if Max is left or right-handed. No, it's true. So he writes left-handed, I think, and eats right-handed. And when he played baseball, he struck out 50 times a year left-handed and 49 times right-handed. And then the poor kid, I mean, he really got, his coordination level was so bad that he could get hurt. I mean, he would literally miss a fly ball with the glove on the right hand, bam, right in the grill. And then one practice we switched him. I'm like, maybe he catches with this hand. I remember him playing catch with a kid, and he looked like this. He went to catch the ball, right off there, just the poor dude. He played a whole season of basketball when he was 9. And I'm just picturing him. He scored 2 points the whole year. And here's how he got the 2 points. This is a true story. He went up to get a rebound, and he thought the ball went in for his team. So he turns around to run down the court, and the rebound hits him off the head, bounces back into the basket. And my kid is running down the court like he just windmill dunked. Those were his only points for the year. Over 20 from threes, over 22 in layups, over 16 free throws, just, you give. He played flag football. Any of you dads or moms have a kid who played flag football? Okay, cool. My son was the blocker. That's all you need to know. Don't touch the ball, Max. You just stand in the way of the athletic kids. So then we started playing golf. True story. He played left-handed for a while, then right-handed, then left-handed, then right-handed. And then for a while, he played both. So his bag had some left-handed clubs in there and some right-handed clubs. I don't know if you know anything about golf, but nobody does that. And so what ended up happening was I stopped having any standards for him. I reduced the standard. We moved to the desert, and out there, it's really interesting. I decided, Max decided, we'll play golf. And the reason I'm glad that he chose golf as the sport is because you get to caddy for your kid. And so it's 5 hours on a Saturday, and as busy as I am, I could always make sure I had a plane then. I could always make it back for Max's golf tournaments. It'd be 5 hours I'd spend with my son, regardless of the result. And so, but the harder part was that Max, we lived in an area where it was mainly professional golfers and their kids. And so Max played for 3 years on this tour and finished last in every single tournament by a lot. And to the point where like it got to where literally when he would get out of the car, I'd say, hey buddy, he goes, hey daddy. I said, you know I wouldn't love you anymore if you won today. And he goes, and I know dad, you won't love me any less if I lose. I said, no man, let's have fun. He goes, we're gonna have fun, daddy. And then when he would get home, it got to the point where Cristiano would never even ask him his score. It was just, did you have fun? Yeah, Mama, we had so much fun. Daddy and I talked about sports, and we talked about the Red Sox and school. And man, Jacob played so good. He talked about the other kids. Max is such a sweet kid. Max would literally get on the driver, top the ball into the lake, be like, hey, Dad, hey, we're having fun. You know, hand me the club back. You know? And I'm watching these two other professional golfers. By the way, they're in perfect matching clothes. They have swing instructors, professional clubs. My kids left and right-handed. We're dressed like ragamuffins. At the time, I'm all tatted up and just jacked on creatine at the time. I'm wearing like Adidas sweats most tournaments and a tank top. I'm just, and then the other kid would get up and hit one down the middle. Max would be like, great shot, Jacob. And the other kids just look at him like, you understand the objective here, right? Like, Max, hand me the club. Yeah, Max, we're having a freaking great time again this Saturday. Week after week. Until one day. You're never going to forget this. Until one day. And his life changed. One day. By the way, I should tell you one thing about my kid. He would get up every morning before school and hit balls. He saw his daddy working. So Max would go and hit balls. And then after school, even when it was 100 degrees out in the desert, he'd go hit balls. That's his swing. Nothing wrong with his swing. It was his mindset. And the number one mindset coach supposedly in the world, his dad, kept walking through his mind with my dirty feet. Over and over. Every week. Let's just have fun. Let's just have fun. So one day we're playing. We're playing with two guys, professional golfers. We played 9 holes, and we're in last place, and we're 11 shots out of second to last. Typical day for us. And when that tour happens, the kids, they grab a quick lunch like at the turn. So after 9 holes, you grab a sandwich, you just keep playing. Well, that day we were way behind because Max was playing so bad. So there's groups waiting on us. And it was weird. Like the lunches were there, but the next tee was like way over there in the corner. And then in this instant, Max's life changed. I'm going to give you the clean version just because I feel like you probably don't like to hear me cuss. But I just to be honest with you, it ain't the real version. Okay? But here's what happened. No, there are some people in here who wouldn't be offended. So, here's what happens. One of the dads says this. We're walking, and he goes, hey, boys, stop, to the other 2 boys. He goes, listen, we're behind because Max is playing so bad. And Max, he's out of it. He doesn't give a crap anyway. So Max, go get their sandwiches, and we'll meet you guys at the next tee. Okay, remember, I'm probably on creatine at the time. I said, watch this. I said, Max, stop! Stop. What the fuck did you just say to my son? Don't you ever speak to my son like that. You understand me? Don't you ever talk to my son like that. I said, here's what we're going to do. I said, Max, you stay here with Daddy. I said, Max will be there in a minute. I'm going to go get the sandwiches. You guys walk over to the next tee. You go. They walk over. I said, Max, come here. And my son had, and this is a true story, my son had never heard me cuss before. He'd heard his mom cuss 100 times, but not me. It's true, not me. It's true, not me. It's true. And so Max, I said, come here. Here we go. This is what happened. I said, come here, Max. He goes, yeah, Dad, we're having fun, right? I go, come here. Come here. And I got down to this level, I grabbed him. I go, look at me. I go, Max, look at Daddy. He goes, yeah, Dad. I go, we're gonna fucking win today, Max. You hear me? We're gonna win. He goes, Dad, but what about we're having fun? I go, screw all that. Listen to me, Max. Here's what I forgot to tell you. Winning is more fun than fun is fun. You got it? You got it, pal? Winning is more fun than fun is fun. Oh, okay, Dad. I go, hey, this gray shirt. That was him warming up that day. I said, this gray shirt, we're losing in this shirt. I go, you have another shirt in your bag? He goes, oh, yeah. I go, what color is it? He goes, blue. I go, take this shirt off. Go get the blue one. I go, Max, we're going to wear blue today. You know how Tiger wears red? He goes, yeah. I go, Max, we're wearing blue because these motherfuckers are going to cry. They're going to cry. And I start anchoring him. I put the shirt on him. And I start doing what I teach everyone else. I go, Max, this is the winning shirt. We're going to win. We're going to win. We're going to win. I said, here's the rules, Max. Here's what we're going to do. It's a true story. By the way, it's validated on my podcast by my son. I said, listen to me. Here's what we're going to do. I've never done this with him. I'm going to hold it. I said, listen, no practice swings. You don't take any practice swings. You have a beautiful swing, Max. You have a better swing than all these guys. Okay? You work harder than all these guys. You're up early. You're hitting balls after school. These guys don't do that crap. So here's the deal. No practice swings, and I'm going to tell you exactly what club to hit and where to hit it. You understand me? Okay, Dad. And I go, now take this driver. You go over there and smash that driver. And I watch my only precious son walk away. And I remember going, shit. Right, we have no chance of winning whatsoever. There may be an assault charge coming my way, and my kid's now afraid of me. Good job, Mylett. That's great. And I go get the sandwiches. But I watch my kid over there, my precious son. How many of you have kids? You ever just go to something where it's in public, you just watch your kid? You just watch them. You know, you go to a Christmas recital or something, there's all these precious kids up there, but you're watching yours. It's something that day. Actually, my chest is heavy, not because of my heart, I don't think. Like, I literally just remembering this. Like, I love him so much. And I did him such a disservice before that day. I didn't believe in him. And he knew it. He knew it. And then he got comfortable with my lack of belief in him. And I made him color within the most narrow lines. And I watched my precious, I don't know, I just watched him. And he teed it up. He has a hard time even teeing the ball up. But he teed it up, and I said, no practice swings, and God bless him, he did. And he went over there and he went, pshh, he hit it right down the middle. And I got up there, I said, how'd that feel? He goes, it's okay, Dad. My son walked like this all the time. My kid. So we're walking down the fairway. I go, hey, Max, we're going to win. He goes, okay, Dad. I go, no, Max. I'm grabbing his shoulder and anchoring and triggering like I've taught you guys before. I go, we're going to win. We're going to win. We're going to win. We get up to the ball. I go, okay, Max, 110 yards. Never done any of this with him before. I said, hit the 8-iron. Hit this thing 10 feet left of the hole. Getting very specific and precise with my directions, which I'd never done before. It was always general. Hit a good shot, man. Go, you got it, kiddo. Now it's, hey, man, 110, 10 feet left of the hole, no practice swing. Knock this sucker on, man. No one ever talked to my kid like that before. Max gets up, hits a really good shot. About 20 feet left of the hole, but on the green. I go, how'd that feel? He goes, pretty good, Dad. Literally like that. I go, good, buddy, good. We're walking down the fairway. I'm emotional right now. We're walking down the fairway. I go, hey, buddy, we're going to win. I remember him looking back up at me. Here's my eyes, my blue eyes. He goes, are we, Dad? I go, yeah, man, we're going to win today. I said, all right, Dad. We get up to the green. He's got his putt. And normally Max, the other kids line their putts up and look it around, you know. Max never did that. Max's putting essentially looked like this. You get up, you go, okay. Picks it up out of the hole. And he starts to do that. He starts to walk up. He's like, I go, Max, walk around the putt and read it, just like the other boys. Here's the problem. Neither one of us know how to read a putt, right?